Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Today, we're going to talk about OJ Simpson. OJ, he's left us, and I can tell you it is an interesting day. For some of you, it's a sad day. For some of you, it's not. And I thought it would be interesting to really go through the life of OJ Simpson in a way where we can really analyze this. And I think it's important that Black people talk about this in our own space, because y'all know how white folks get. They're going to just talk about the obvious in the obvious way. And I'd rather elevate the conversation. So if you could get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today is an interesting day. For some of you, it's a sad day. Some of you, it's not. OJ Simpson, and I'm going to say the great OJ Simpson, only, but in a neutral way. The great meaning that he was extraordinary in certain lights. He was heavily accomplished. This brother he did a lot in his life. You know, he was able to do things athletically that most people can't do. And he just passed today, unfortunately, at the age of 76. And OJ was born actually in 1947, in case you were wondering, July 9th in San Francisco. He grew up in the housing projects, and he ended up going to USC after attending the City College of San Francisco. He transferred to USC. A lot of people don't know he transferred, and he won the Heisman Trophy in 1968. So OJ, from what I understand in the media, he has died of cancer, and cancer actually kills 40% of all Americans. Almost half of all Americans are dying of cancer right now. So I personally think they're trying to kill us with the food, to be honest with you. I don't think that the FDA and all these other organizations have the economic incentive to protect you from cancer. So I encourage you to eat healthy and to be as smart as you can. And so anyway, OJ, it says here in the Huffington Post, I'm always curious to see what headlines white folks are going to give OJ, because he is controversial. A lot of the majority of white people, from what I recall, in the OJ trial, felt like he was guilty. They felt like he did it. And I remember a lot of Black people didn't believe he did it. You know, they were very happy that he was acquitted. And here in the Huffington Post, the title is very interesting. It says, OJ Simpson, convicted felon and legendary football player, dead at 76. So so they start by saying convicted felon and legendary football player. They said after being acquitted of murder in 1995, Simpson was convicted in 2007 of kidnapping and armed robbery. Now, let me ask y'all this. Do y'all think, give me a yes or no in the chat, do you think that particular title from the Huffington Post was a racist title? Like, you know, can you think of any like, so really, I mean, think about it, right? If somebody's 76 and a lot of things have happened in their life, do you think that they would start off in the headline by saying convicted felon? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I really need to find some examples. Maybe y'all can help me find some examples of maybe white entertainers or white athletes who also had a conviction of, you know, from some sort of crime, who died, and they didn't say convicted felon as the first thing that they put in the title. And it's really interesting, because it's almost like they're saying, haha, Negro, we didn't get you on the thing that we know you did, but we got you on this other thing that was unrelated, but now we get to call you a convicted felon. And y'all know what it is. I mean, let's just be honest. We know what it is, right? We know that when they say convicted felon, they ain't talking about the thing that happened in 2007. They're not talking about the armed robbery and all that. Like, I bet if you asked them, like, okay, specifically what happened in 2007 that OJ got convicted of, that you're referencing, what were the details of that case? I bet you that a lot of the people at the Huffington Post could not tell you a single detail about what happened in '07. They could probably remember that it was a robbery and that it was in Vegas, but they probably couldn't remember all the details. But if you say, well, what were the details of the case in '94 where he got away with allegedly killing that white woman? Oh, they know all the details of that because everybody knows the details of that. I'm serious. Like, if you are under the age of 40 and you did not get a chance to see up close and personal what happened during the OJ trial, you just don't know what you were missing. It was a complete circus. How many of y'all remember? And give me a yes in the chat if you remember just what it was like to be an adult during the OJ trial. Does anybody remember that? It was crazy. It was crazy. You know, uh, it was really an interesting time. And what was interesting about the OJ trial, and I'm going to give you the Dr. Boyce perspective on what was going on here, why the case was such a big deal, why the case got so much national attention. Basically, it got so much attention and it got so much conversation because they wanted to lynch that Negro. That's what they did. They wanted to lynch him. They literally were like, boy, you are lucky that it's not 1922, because we would come and get your black ass out of the jail cell and make sure that you ain't breathing tomorrow. You done went and killed a beautiful white woman. That's what it is. Because let's just be clear, OJ did have a black wife. If he had killed his black wife, that case wouldn't have got as much attention. Tell me if you agree with this. I don't believe that if OJ's wife had not been a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white lady, I don't think it would have gotten the same level of attention. It got attention because they were like, the nerve of this Negro. You gonna kill one of ours, or we gonna come get you, boy. That's what it is. If he killed a black woman, that case wouldn't have even been on national TV. I guarantee it. So let's just be 100% clear. This case was powerful because it was a real clear expose of how little progress America's made when it comes to matters of race. It really showed you in broad daylight that America has racial wounds that have not healed, that white folks still, to this day, 30 years later, they still don't understand you that much. They still characterize you as a bunch of criminals and thugs and hoochie mamas, and they'd rather see sexy red than to see an intelligent black woman. They'd rather see a gun-toting gangster rapper than to see a black man who's actually got some damn sense. That's what they think about you. They don't think very highly of you, and they're afraid of you, but yet they're fascinated by you. And OJ captured that because OJ was fascinating. OJ was really fascinating, especially, this man was one of the most phenomenal athletes in the history of the NFL. A lot of people don't know this. OJ was a bad, bad boy. OJ was a track star. This man he won the Heisman Trophy. Has anybody ever watched? Let me know have you ever watched old clips of OJ playing football? Have you ever seen how much of a badass this guy was? He ran around them white boys like they were standing still. OJ was a beast. He was the second coming of another great black man by the name of Jim Brown. And Jim Brown was a different kind of guy. OJ was one of those, like, I'm not black, I'm OJ type people, right? He was one of those people that got carried away, thinking that he's one of them. He ain't black no more. And he got caught up in a lot of stuff because of that. And this is one of the reasons, if you come to this platform, we talk a lot about how drugs have done so much harm to the black community. And when I look at the life of OJ, I see a man who got caught up in the 80s fast lifestyle, the dope, the fast women and everything else. When you had the most beautiful black family a man can imagine. Look at that. Look at his wife. Her name's Marguerite. I don't know her last name. Look at how pretty she is. Look at those kids. Tell me this, to me, why were you dreaming about all of this cocaine-filled, parties and all this other crap when you had this? There's no universe on this earth where I'm going to put this over this. I'm just not. There's nothing about this that's appealing to me. There's nothing about this. What this reeks of to me is it reeks of superficiality. It reeks of a lot of problems, a lot of chaos. It reeks of nasty STD-filled gold diggers and all kinds of stupid things. This, to me, speaks life. This speaks of life to me. Like when I look at just a beautiful black woman like this, she's the ultimate giver of life. And you have this strong black man. You know, he's strong and he's handsome and he's a great protector and provider. Or at least he could have been. And he's got these beautiful kids. He could have had 3 or 4 or 5 more. To me, that's the dream. And I don't understand. I really am you know, when I don't have anything against OJ per se, but I don't understand why he would give up this in exchange for this. I just don't. You know, there's nothing about this that's appealing to me. Nothing about this that would make it worth destroying your life. And remember, this destroyed OJ's life, and OJ also may have destroyed OJ's life. Again, I think that accountability has to be on OJ. Now, if you want to know my personal opinion about whether or not he did it, you know, I go with the GOAT Johnny Cochran. R.I.P. to Johnny Cochran, one of the greatest attorneys of all time. He was also very pro-black. He was ready to fight for reparations. I think he would have been one of those great soldiers that would have helped us achieve this goal. And Johnny made it real clear, you know, if the glove don't fit, he didn't do that shit. If the glove don't fit, he ain't do that shit. And he didn't say it like that. That's the Boyce Watkins rendition. But I think mine is better. If the glove don't fit, he didn't do that shit. And what does that mean? Well, here's what it means. And this is what racist white people could not understand. This is what they could not accept. What they could not accept is this. OJ looked as guilty as sin. Let's just be honest right now. How many of y'all think there's at least a 50-50 chance that he might have did it? Like, seriously, how many of y'all really, come on, let's stop lying, please. Like, don't be up in here like, no, he didn't do it. I know he didn't do it. You don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about no celebrities. You don't know nothing about OJ. You don't know this man. You know, he's this Oreo cookie Negro that dumped his black wife so he can run off and go party at these cocaine-filled nightclubs. So let's stop defending him like he's Martin Luther King or he's Nelson Mandela. He's not. I think that's important to understand and accept that, right? So I believe there's at least a 50-50 chance that OJ did it. Some of y'all believe there's a 100% chance that he did it. I don't doubt that he might have done it. In fact, think about this. Your wife just left you. Some dude is riding around town in your expensive sports car that you paid for with your woman. Who wouldn't understand a man wanting to retaliate under those circumstances? I'm not saying I'm like Chris Rock. I'm not saying he should have did it, but I understand. So let's just be clear. OJ might have done it. There's no anybody who's rational, logical, and fair would say, yeah, there's a chance. You know, I wouldn't bet my rent money that he's innocent. But here's the problem that the racist white folks would never acknowledge. The LAPD has been dirty as shit. The LAPD is not a credible source on anything. Remember, at the time of the OJ trial, that was right around the time that they had the riots in LA over the whole Rodney King situation. There was a lot of tension, and it still is. They still out here lying. They still out here falsely accusing black people. They're still out here arresting people when they didn't do anything. So the LAPD had no credibility. And so when Mr. Johnny Cochran shows up and he's like, look, if the glove don't fit, he ain't do that shit. Well, according to the rules of your system, the laws of your land, the procedures that you came up with, you got to let him go just the same as you would if he were white. But one of the things about being white in America, unfortunately, is that it does breed a certain type of privilege where you are led to believe that the rules don't apply to you. You feel that it's okay for you to say, well, he should go to prison because I think he did it. No, you can't send somebody to prison because you think they did it. Because remember, the lady that got Emmett Till killed ain't never spent a day in jail. You know how many thousands of black people have been killed and nobody went to jail for anything? There was a black woman, a pregnant black woman, 8 months pregnant. They cut the baby out of her stomach and they knew who did it. And nobody went to jail for that. So stop that shit. Don't nobody want to hear you. It's so bad. This is so unfair. What are you talking about? We've been saying that for 400 years and you ain't never, ever, ever, ever listened. You just mad because OJ linked up with a brilliant man like Johnny Cochran, who was able to go in and he knew your rules better than you did. He used your system better than you can. And he came up with a defense that actually worked in the court of law. And when the jury did the right thing, when they listened to Johnny, and his specific words were, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. The Boyce Watkins rendition, if the glove don't fit, he didn't do that shit. So according to those rules, he was supposed to be allowed to go. The American judicial system in the criminal court is designed around a very basic idea. There must be what is referred to as a preponderance of the evidence to say that you're guilty. It does not, sorry, scratch. I said preponderance. I'm sorry. I think preponderance is actually more than 50%. Sorry, scratch that. You have to be innocent till proven guilty, and you have to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's what I meant to say. I apologize. I said that wrong. Preponderance, I believe, is for civil court. All the lawyers in the room, please don't start dissing and correcting me, because y'all know, forgive me for I know not what I do. God ain't through with me yet. Okay, so you have to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That means that no reasonable person should be able to look at this evidence and say, yeah, he probably did it. There's a preponderance of evidence that he did it. I think there's about a 70% chance he did it. You can't send somebody to jail on that. You can't. The court of law is designed where if there's any reasonable doubt, you have to let them go. So Johnny Cochran did his job. He proved that beyond a reasonable doubt, OJ, or he gave a reasonable doubt that OJ may not have done this, that maybe Mark Furman, the man who had this long history of hating black people, maybe he did plant some evidence. Maybe somebody did lie. Maybe there was some sort of conspiracy and his wife got involved in the dope game and somebody else killed her and made it look like OJ did it. Maybe these things did happen. Nobody knows. So really, that case to me, if he were white, let me just say it like this. If OJ were white, all that outrage that y'all got about him being acquitted would be non-existent. It would be completely non-existent. Now, do me a favor, guys. Could you please hit the thumbs up button? Thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I do have a new book out. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. If you'd like to get a copy, or you can also get a copy of Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, you can go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. It's an Amazon bestseller. Feel free to take a look at that. And also, I'm going to be in LA this week. We're going to have a stock options summit where we're going to get together and we're going to learn all about stock options. So if you'd like to join us in LA and fly in, feel free to go to stockoptionssummit.com. I'll leave the URL on the screen in case you want to bring the family, bring the spouse. It's really fun. It's a great way to make money. And our students are making thousands of dollars a week. And this is not a game. This is not hocus pocus. I have a PhD in finance. I can't just be all hype. I have to actually prove things. So this actually does work. So feel free to go to stockoptionssummit.com. Okay, so let's get back to OJ. So OJ Simpson, as we mentioned earlier, he just died at the age of 76 of cancer. Does this make me sad? It does make me a little sad because it's kind of the end of an era. It's like, gosh, we had this guy around for so long. He wasn't all bad. If you remember OJ before OJ became the OJ Simpson, you'll know that OJ actually had an interesting and pretty good reputation. He was kind of everybody's white man. People they put him in all these commercials, and anybody remember those old Hertz commercials where he was running through the airport and hurdling over people and stuff? And it was kind of like this thing where you just kind of felt like, okay, OJ, he's not one of us. He's not black anymore. But he's transcended to this magical space where you're just racially ambiguous, where somehow white people see you as one of their own. And we had kind of like let go of OJ. Kind of, he abandoned us. We abandoned him. He abandoned his black wife. And we're like, okay, he's just a white guy with black skin. Good luck to you. And then what was interesting about OJ was that it's really funny when you see an entertainer like an OJ kind of go through something where they suddenly get their Negro wake-up call. And then suddenly when they get the Negro wake-up call, suddenly they want to be Mr. Pro-Black. Suddenly it's like assalamu alaikum and Lord, they coming to get me, y'all, and I'm gonna need support from the black community. And it's like, well, wait, but you had nothing to do with the black community when you were running around pretending like you weren't black anymore. And as a result, OJ found himself in kind of a pickle. And what's fascinating to me though is that black people, we kind of forgive everybody. we I don't know. Again, Dr. Claude Anderson has a whole theory about this in his book, Black Labor, White Wealth, and Powernomics. He actually talks about how you were trained during slavery to literally let people spit on you, shit on you, and destroy you, and then you will still forgive them at the end of the day. Anybody remember when Dylan Roof went up in that black church in South Carolina and shot up all those people in the church? And literally within 3 days, they were in the courtroom screaming, "We forgive you, we forgive you." They were literally going out of their, like, they were willing to get in trouble, like be found in contempt of court, like literally willing to break the law, disrupt the courtroom just to make sure they could scream, "We forgive you." And that's the type of mental illness that has to be cultivated. It has to be cultivated like fine wine. It takes hundreds of years to make a group of people that mentally ill that you would literally go out of your way. Nobody asked you to do it, and you go out of your way, free of charge, spend money, spend bus fare, gas money to go and forgive somebody who shot up the people that you love and right in front of you. That's kind of a special sort of mental illness. So we kind of have this thing where we kind of forgive everybody. And I think a lot of this comes back from slavery. So we forgave OJ, and black people suddenly re-embraced him as if somehow he wasn't the guy who dumped his black wife so he can go date a snow bunny. He wasn't a guy who had pretty much ignored and neglected the black community all those years. He wasn't the guy who really wasn't trying to be black no more, even though he gave up all of this for all of that. I didn't understand that. It really didn't make sense to me, but whatever. That's what we do. So OJ goes on trial. And I still remember the day where I heard on the radio that OJ had been accused of killing his wife. And I remember listening to it. Like, it's in the morning and you're listening to the news and you're thinking they're going to tell you something like, okay, there's a snowstorm coming, or the president just announced that he's going to start giving free cupcakes to kindergartners. You think it's going to be some stupid story like that. And then I'm sitting there and I'm listening. I'm doing something else. I was checking out of a hotel that day, I think. And I remember listening and hearing, NFL star OJ Simpson was arrested today for killing his wife, or his wife was found dead, or something like that. And I remember stopping and thinking, "Oh, wait, that's not a normal story. That's kind of different." And so then I remember I was taking a nap. And the woman I was dating at the time, this was how long, it was a very long time ago. She woke me up, and it was during the NBA finals, if I'm not mistaken. And she said, "Hey, look on TV." And she turned it on, and that was when OJ was driving down the street in that white Bronco. How many of y'all remember that white Bronco incident? Like it was yesterday. Anybody remember when he was driving down in the white Bronco with Al Collins, his buddy, his football buddy, and everybody was watching. Like the whole world was watching this dude go down the street in this white Bronco with the whole LAPD like driving right behind him. They were driving really slow. They wasn't trying to really get nowhere. And it really looked like he was really guilty. Like it really looked like he was done in that moment. And I remember him going on trial. And the trial suddenly became just the biggest news story I think almost ever. I can't think of too many news stories bigger than this one. And here we are over 30 years later still talking about it. I mean, that's how big it was. And it became kind of this interesting indictment on race in America. Because it just really was one of these fascinating experiences where you were just met with the reality that white people and black people don't live in the same universe. Like it was like slapping you in the face. Like we always had this country where we would just lie to each other. Like we believe, America's a race neutral society, and that America was colorblind and all this. And then people would lie and say this stuff when they had stuff like affirmative action or whatever in these ways to alleviate white guilt. But this really sort of put it in our face. It let us know, hey, look, racism ain't over. Y'all still don't like each other. Y'all don't see the world the same. And black people and white people literally live on two different planets. So it did become a media spectacle. There were people whose whole careers were built off of the OJ trial. There were people like Geraldo Rivera and Greta Van Susteren and all these other prominent media personalities that we found out about because every single day everybody was watching the OJ trial from beginning all the way to the end. And so the climax of the trial was when they announced the verdict. And I remember, how many of y'all remember the very place you were, like the exact moment when the OJ verdict was announced? Anybody remember that? Give me a yes if you remember that. I remember exactly where I was. And I remember a white boy told me, I wasn't watching the TV, but I remember a white boy telling me about it. And if you watch any of the old video of when that verdict was announced, you literally saw this crazy dichotomy of race in America. You literally saw where all the black people, we were cheering like we had just won the Super Bowl and the lottery at the same time. Like you would have thought we were the ones on trial. Like we literally, like, black people went bananas. Like every campus, my wife talks about when she was on the Indiana University campus, she was in a Black Studies class. All the Black Studies students went to watch the game, the not the game, sorry, it was like a sporting event. They watched the trial on the verdict on TV, and all the black students, ah, ah, like we're going crazy, right? Like we do. And the white people were crying. Like the white people were literally crying. I remember white girls like literally bawling, like their loved one had been killed. It was so deep to me because it was crazy how we literally internalized this trial. Why are you crying? He didn't kill you. He didn't kill your mama. This is not, you don't know this lady. And why are you jumping up and down, Negro? Like, this is, OJ don't like you anyway. Like, why are you jumping up and down like your family just won the lotto? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It was crazy. So what it really said to me is that America, at that moment, was showing just how racially divided the country was at the time. It also really showed, that we haven't healed as much as we think we have. And what was really interesting about the trial too was that after the trial was over, they didn't just say, okay, you know what, fair and square, fair game. You know what, you went up on trial, we tried you, and now you were found not guilty. Good luck with your life. No, they chased OJ around as if he was guilty. They literally treated this man like he had been found guilty. You wouldn't have known the difference. And this really showed the power that white folks really have in this country. I mean, this really showed the type of influence that they have where it's interesting. It's almost like white privilege kind of gets certain people to believe that the rules just are kind of imaginary until they decide to change them. Like, yeah, we're going to tell you people what the rules are, and you're going to believe that these are the rules. But really, when we decide to change the rules, we're just going to change them. And we believe this Negro did it. So we're going to behave as if he did it. So for many, many years, OJ would go around, white folks would walk up to him and say, "Hi, you're a murderer," right? That's what they did, right? And so years later, when they finally got a chance to arrest him because OJ did something stupid in a hotel or something, he went and beat somebody up and stole his stuff back or something like that. He ends up going to prison. And I almost felt like this was their way of saying, good, now we finally got this guy. And what was that? Well, that energy that you saw where people literally were like, we're going to hunt you down until we get you. That ain't nothing but lynching energy. That literally, all that is a lynching. That's what that is. That was, and I'm sorry, white folks, I know it's going to hurt your feelings, but that was literally you digging into the soul of your great granddaddy who would have joined a mob of angry white men, went down to the courthouse with a shotgun, pulled his black ass out of jail, and made sure that he was hanging from a tree that night. That's what that was. That was lynch mob energy. A lynch mob, for the most part, is a group of people who just decide, you know what, we don't care what the law thinks. We're going to impose the justice that we believe should be applied. And this goes back to Dr. Claude Anderson. We, as you guys know, every Wednesday night we do Powernomics training. We read Dr. Claude Anderson books. And one of the things Dr. Anderson does that's so powerful is he explains all the different ways and reasons that black people have been lynched. Let me read this to you. Let me find this. This is on page 95 of the Black History Reader. His books are at powernomics.com, by the way. So everybody should read his books. This is where you should be learning your history, not in these stupid public schools where half the kids can't even read. It says here, listen to this. Pay attention now. This is the OJ lynching energy. This is the culture. See, we talk about black culture. Y'all hear me talk. Y'all will hear me all day critique what they did to black culture. Like when I talk about culture and I talk about the ratchet culture and the gangster culture and the genocidal hip hop culture, that culture bothers me a lot. But also remember, white people have their own culture that they have to confront that is also problematic. And this lynch mob culture that's been around for hundreds of years was exactly what popped its ugly head up during the OJ trial. Let me read this to you to make my point. On page 95 of the Black History Reader by Dr. Claude Anderson, which you can find at powernomics.com, he says this. The 10-year period between 1882 and 1892 provides a snapshot of how lynchings occurred. Whites lynched over 2,000 black men. By early 1918, Booker T. Washington lamented that another 2,522 black men were lynched for no justifiable reasons. Of the numerous offenses that white mobs used to justify lynching black men, the following is a partial list. Listen to this. This is why they lynched black men: robbery, slander, uppityness, being uppity, wife beating. So if wife beating will get you lynched, what would wife killing do? If beating your wife will get you lynched, what do you think they wanted to do to this man who was accused of killing a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white lady, cutting levees, kidnapping, voodooism, poisoning horses, writing an insulting letter, incendiary language, political activism, gambling, quarreling, that's arguing, poisoning the well, swindling, jilting a girlfriend, organizing Negroes, throwing rocks. These are things that would get you lynched. Throwing rocks, being unpopular, making threats, circulating scandal, gossiping. Ooh, gossiping. That didn't half the Negroes on the internet will be getting lynched under that rule, because y'all a bunch of gossip queens, the Club Shay Shay looking Negroes. Anyway, gossiping, being troublesome, having a bad reputation, drunkenness, rioting, fraud, enticing a servant away. Listen to this now. Writing a letter to a white woman, asking a white woman for her hand in marriage. So if you can get lynched for loving a white woman, what's going to happen to you when you get accused of killing a white woman? You can get lynched for loving a white woman. So they already wanted him gone. They already had it out for this guy. This guy showing up at the club. I'm not black, I'm OJ. And he's got this lady next to him, and they already wanted him gone. So if loving a white woman would get you lynched, what will killing a white woman do? Let's keep going. I'm not done. This is a list of the reasons that black people got lynched, according to Dr. Claudette. God bless him, by the way. He is a godsend. Tell me if you agree. I hope you agree with me, because this man's extraordinary. Listen to this. Let's see here. Okay, asking a white woman for her hand in marriage, conspiracy, introducing smallpox, giving information, conjuring, concealing a criminal, slapping a child, touching a white woman, talking back to or sassing a white person, passing counterfeit money, owning a barking dog. Having a barking dog would get you lynched. Failing to get off the sidewalk so whites could pass by. Playing games with a white person. Paying attention to a white woman. Disobeying ferry regulations. Running quarantine. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Being unwilling to work. Reading a black newspaper. And accepting a job and doing better than or as well economically as whites. So on this list of all the reasons that black people got lynched, OJ probably qualifies for about half of them, about 10 of them. So this was lynch energy. This is what this was. Again, I'm not one to sit here and defend OJ. If you were to ask me to give an honest lie detector description of OJ Simpson, here's what I would say. I would say, man, this guy was an amazing football player. He was off the charts as an athlete. And it was crazy to me how they wanted to take away his athletic accolades because he was accused of a crime. When you get accused of a crime, people shouldn't be taking away the things that you rightfully earned. That's not fair, right? But anyway, but that's life. Life ain't fair. And so I would say he was an amazing athlete. He was a guy who got a little bit too comfortable around other folks. He also was a person who probably killed his wife. There's a good chance he might have done this. But he was a person who was acquitted. If the glove don't fit, he didn't do that shit. So he should have been left alone at that point. And he also is a person who redeemed himself quite remarkably on Twitter. I don't know if anybody, I follow OJ on Twitter. Anybody else follow OJ on Twitter? He became a remarkably wise person. Throughout the years, he hit OG status. He kind of did what Mike Tyson did, just kind of repaired his image. He'd come out on Twitter wearing like his hat, his old Titleist golf hat, so he'd be on the golf course, and he would literally say things that you would expect from a wise, experienced 76-year-old black man. So this man was not a worthless human being. That's my point. He's not a guy. Everybody in this room, I guarantee you that every single person in this room, including myself, we've all made mistakes. Every one of us has done things maybe 30 years ago that we are ashamed of, things that we wouldn't repeat. Now, we probably didn't go and kill a blonde-haired white woman, so that would be off the table. But for a lot of you, you may have things in your past that don't define the very best of who you are. And a lot of us have room for growth. A lot of us can move past those stupid things that we do and redefine ourselves as time goes on and still add value to the world. And I feel like OJ deserved the right to do that. And I think that the world tried to take that away from him. So one of the best things that I loved about how OJ lived his life in the last 20 years or so is he basically said F you to all these people. The internet comes along, social media comes along. OJ jumps out there. He knows that while a lot of people hate him, there are a lot of people that like him, a lot of people that still listen to him. He commented regularly on his alma mater, USC, which owes him so much. He put y'all's asses on the map. He made millions of dollars for you. Your raggedy ass little piece of shit football team wouldn't have been nothing without this man. He helped the Buffalo Bills. They had a terrible team, but he was the one shining star on that team. And he had every right, in my opinion, as an alumni, to make comments on all of these things, and he did so. And I like the fact that there were people, particularly the black men on that sports show with Cameron and Mace. I don't know why Cameron and Mace are doing sports commentary. I don't know what rappers know about sports, but whatever, who cares? But he did a good job with that. He really did, and I was really impressed by that. And I like the fact that he was able to redeem himself, even though he was never redeemed in the eyes of white people. So what's a lesson that I might learn from something like this? What's a lesson that all of us can learn from this? Well, number one is other folks ain't really going to like you as much as your own people. Other folks can't forgive you as much as you can forgive. You can receive forgiveness from the people that originally loved you. That original black wife and that original black family that OJ had, that beautiful family that he had, that was his home. That was his home base. And sometimes we get tempted to go out chasing waterfalls instead of sticking to the rivers and the lakes that we're used to. If you want to know why I love and feel so safe with my lovely black wife, it's because I feel safe. I feel at home with her. I feel like she gets me like nobody else will. I feel like the world is full of temptations. There's lots of great things I could be out here doing. There are lots of places I could be where I'm out here, getting into stuff. But, I kind of like getting next to my cozy, soft, little, beautiful black wife and just knowing like, okay, this is my home base. This is where I live. This is my spot. This is my territory. And I really personally think that as black men sometimes, especially with athletes, y'all athletes and entertainers, those folks get a hold of you. And next thing you know, you start thinking that you're something other than what God meant for you to be. You start thinking that you start getting a little too comfortable. You start doing a Cuba Gooding Jr. and getting drunk around people that are going to sue you for sexual harassment if you act out or make a mistake or whatever. And I feel like in our space, I think that there's always grace in our space. Right? I don't think that there's grace outside when you're dealing with a group of individuals that have a whole history of lynching men like you when they do get out of line and when they do make a mistake. So again, I'm not here to sit here and pretend like I don't think OJ did it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really think that this man might have done it, but I also know for a fact that this man was acquitted, and I also know for a fact that society did not give a damn. And I also believe this. I believe OJ lived a great and powerful life. Right? Again, with all his flaws, all his mistakes, you cannot deny that this man has a legacy that's going to be worth remembering. He did a lot of great things on the field. He did a few good things off the field. And I think that OJ, despite his mistakes, is a person that you can learn a lot from, and so RIP to OJ, RIP to his family. And I'm sorry for your loss. And this really is the end of an era in my book. And also it makes you think about the great Johnny Cochran. Shout out to Johnny Cochran, because again, when OJ was in trouble and he turned to the black community, he turned to a great black man. That great black man went to battle with him, and he kicked ass in front of the world. He showed us what a brilliant lawyer looks like. He showed us what a smart man or prepared man looks like. He showed us what a strategic man looked like. And I think that Johnny Cochran, in my view, is one of those. He's one of the good ones, and he's one of the ones that should be honored and celebrated as part of Black history. So that's my 2 cents. That's where I stand on this. And if I said something you don't agree with, then I'm sorry, I can't change that. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna go get out of here, guys. quick reminder, if you want to join us for financial consciousness training, we do financial consciousness training every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you would like to join us for financial consciousness training, where I elevate your economic consciousness, just text the word morning to the phone number 87948. So pull out your phone. The phone number that you would text to is 87948, and just type in the word morning, and I will put you on the list, and you will be invited to join us. Also, secondly, if you want to join us for the Stock Options Summit in Los Angeles, you can go to stockoptionssummit.com. That's stockoptionssummit.com. I'll be in Los Angeles on the 19th and 20th. Last but not least, if you'd like to take a look at my new book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, we also have copies of Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson in our bookstore as well. If you'd like to take a look at any of that, just go to drboycebooks.com. We have flashcards for children. We have love and money curricula. We have all kinds of things because in the Black Business School, we put our people first, and we're getting it done, and we're educating our people at a very high level, and I hope that you'll be a part of that. So take care. God bless you, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. This podcast is on Spotify. Just look up my name, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.